Late Night Lori, coming to you from Wisconsin as an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the United States. Part of Lori's Little Bit of Craftin. Let's do a little bit of crafting. Welcome, welcome. I got a mess. I always have a mess, it seems. Let me get my device set up. Make sure we have sound. Yes, we have sound. Awesome. I did restart my phone earlier, so let's just take a look here. Get set up. Welcome, welcome. I'm almost there. I know, I'm late. We're going to pretend that it's 11:59 on February 13th. Welcome, Allie. I'm glad to be here too, albeit a few minutes late. Like I said, we're going to pretend it's still Friday the 13th. And we'll pretend it's 11:59 p.m. even though it's a little after midnight by me. It's got to be before midnight somewhere, right? I know it is. So let's quickly do some announcements here. All of my things Stampin' Up! Are at latenightlori.stampinup.net. Feel free to check it out. Reminder for bonus days, if you earned them, now's the time to burn them. You need to burn them before February 28th or you're going to lose them. Don't be that person. You worked hard to get those bonus coupons. Use them up. Oh, yeah, it's after midnight here. I know. I get it. It is what it is. We'll just pretend it's not as late as what it really is. So, for those people local to me, I've got a few things coming up next week. Monday, I've got my open studio time. Wednesday, we've got coffee and a card at Kat's Coffee House. Thursday is the virtual craft class. And Sunday, hopefully, we'll do a Zoom open office hour for my team. On the 19th, which is Thursday, we've got this virtual card class that I just mentioned. Lovely Blossoms. You can still purchase the class. You can order the products. Even if you don't get the products in time for the class, it doesn't matter because you can view the class either live or on demand later. You'll have access to all of the things. I finally ordered my stuff. I was a little behind because we'd been out of town. And exclusive joining offer, if you join, you get the Stampin' Positioner brand new tool. It's awesome. We're going to use it tonight. And I'll show you a couple of things you may or may not know that it will do. So, welcome to my messy desk. How was your day, Allie? I see you sent me something a few minutes ago. I was busy cutting out some things, so I didn't respond and I apologize. Hey, Juju, welcome. And I ate the candy after last night's live. I told you I would. All right, and it was good. Yeah, Mac Man's asleep. He's got under the weather man cold yesterday. He woke up and his voice was deeper than normal. So I think the stress of the last few days has just kind of worn him out a little bit. So he's got a cold. He went to bed at a reasonable hour, probably a little before 11, around 11. I don't know. And our granddaughter's here. We kept her busy. She fell asleep in about 2 minutes earlier, so it's all quiet here. It is all quiet here. So how was your day, Juju? How's your back? How was work? Hopefully you got out earlier. Allie, I think it was you that had the idea of cutting the slats on these. Oh, Bonnie, I'm sorry. I was getting some stuff cut out. I know you said you were going to hang around. Well, I'm glad you stayed awake. Welcome. Welcome. Bonnie actually sent me some pictures of a basket she made. And, oh yeah, muscle relaxers help. I need to get some pecan pie. I just remembered. And we'll get a piece of crumb cake too. All right, so Bonnie sent me a picture of a basket she did where she actually didn't do a box per se. She basically, from what I could tell, and Bonnie, correct me if I'm wrong, she basically did a strip around here, folded the edges over to attach it to the fronts, and then was able to fill it. But she also cut off the handles, glued them together, and then attached them to the center of the sides. So it was easier to get the goodies out of the side of the basket instead of like the ends, like this is going. So I thought that was a really good idea too. And it does make the, hello Rosa, it does make the handles a little sturdier when you glue them together like that. So that was a really good idea too. So we're just gonna play around a little bit. And I thought too that these baskets would be kind of cute done with ribbon instead of just cardstock. So I still have some of this Petunia Pop ribbon that came with the Halloween stuff. So I thought maybe we could do a couple of those. But before we do that, I thought I finished this last night, but I added this ribbon today when I was playing a little bit. This ribbon is, I think, like a 1/4 inch. Yes, a 1/4 inch, it says right here, 1/4 inch. So it's kind of thick to make a bow for the top of the basket without it overwhelming the basket. So I just took a length of it and then I cut it in half. And yes, it does fray a little bit. If you can get past that, it's really kind of fun because this is really shimmery. Bonnie's actually looked, oh, Bonnie, you're the one that says it looks like it's all one piece. Yours looks like it's all one piece, the way she's got it curved around. So I'm going to try to recreate that tonight, I think, with these ones that I have ready. We could do that. Although my handles are not going to, of course I could still trim off my handles. I could still do that. Hello, Vicky, welcome. Let's go ahead and do that. We'll trim off these handles and I'll try to show you more like how Vicky's turned out. I mean, how Bonnie's turned out. And hopefully I won't snip the wrong things on here. And we'll just play with some of these pieces. And then don't let me forget, I want to play with the Stampin' the positioner. There we go. All right, so let's go ahead and glue these together right away. And I'm not going to glue the very ends of these because the way Bonnie did it, I think she kind of, I don't know. I'm just going to leave those down. Bonnie, did you flip those ends somehow to glue them in, or did you do something else? I don't remember. You probably told me, but I just don't remember. A lot has happened today. Did I read what you did on the papers on the side? You folded them in. Oh, the papers or the handles on the side. Folded them in and attached them inside the basket on the end. All right, well, you can coach me as we go, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to glue these together. Hopefully that's not premature. Where's the other handle here? Turn them at first like line on each side on the bottom, then glued them on there. All right, well, we'll see. We'll see if it works out. Excuse me. All right, so we got some of this going on. I've got some of this going on. Yeah, Vicky, were you here last night? I don't remember. We came up with a few ideas for how to get these baskets woven. Kind of twist them at the bottom. Okay. Yeah, I just folded that first link up a little bit and we'll play with it from there. They're not glued that way, so we'll play with it from there. So, let me cut this down just a little bit. I think we did about 1.75 inches. Oh, you had to leave while we were weaving. So Allie had a really good idea, and I think I'll do it with this one. As long as you're going to be putting the scalloped piece on here, if you slice all the way to the top with these, it makes weaving so much easier. And this is going to be my weaving option of choice. So that's why we hang around here, because we all have different ideas and sometimes can see things that seem very obvious to the viewer, but not necessarily to the worker bee. But I thought that was an awesome idea. And you can see, whoops, you can see I have all kinds of little strips in here. So we can go ahead and start weaving these in. So this worked out so much easier than trying to weave them in by hand. Although with my little window sheet guide, that worked really well too. So what I did with this, if you were not here, hopefully you get it. If you were here, I'm sorry if I'm wasting your time, but for those that are new, all right, so with this one, we took a window sheet, made it about 5 inches, folded in half. All right, thanks for hanging in there and letting it run, Juju. Get some sleep. So for this one, what I did was I just wove the window sheet in and out because it's sturdier than either cardstock or designer series paper. And I made it only about 1/4 inch. Yeah, about 1/4 inch. And then we cut it on a diagonal a little bit so it's a little pointy. And then you can grab your paper, slide out your guide, and then you've got that all woven in there quite nicely without cutting the top. Hey, Yuda. So if you were not going to use this scallop piece at the top so that you didn't want to cut those, this would be the way I would go. All right. So window sheet as a guide. We used to, if you were sending something like through a fax machine and you needed that outer casing because the piece was small, carrier sheet. This would be like a carrier sheet. All right. So I'm just going to leave this in here for now. Who's got to go drive? Oh, who's got to go drive? I'm reading some of these comments that I missed. But anyway, all right, so hints for that. Let's not lose this handle. So let's go back to this. I am going to cut this down to, what did I say? Like 1.25 inches, 1 3/4 inch. So I'm going to go 2 3/4 inches. Maybe. I guess we're going to go 2.5 inches because that's what I have here. And then instead of, let's see, 1 3/4, we'll do, I need half of this. So we'll score about here. I'm just guessing. I'm just kind of eyeballing it. And our basket might be a little wide. I went over to 1 centimeter. I don't usually do metric, but that was kind of how it lined up. All right. So this will become the body of our basket. And that's pretty darn close. All right. So the other thing that I thought I would do, and I don't know, Bonnie, if you did this or not, but I'm going to move this out of the way for just a minute. We'll need it back. I'm going to use my bone folder and curl this a little bit to break down some of these fibers to make it easier for me to bend around the corner of the basket when I need to. All right. So if we want it to go to the top of our basket, let's go. So that's 1.5 to about 3.5 to about 4 3/4. So let's cut this down to 4 3/4. Bonnie, do you remember how long your strip was? So if we just line this up here, I'm going to do a little snip right about here. So that's at about 1 1/4 inches. And I'm going to do it about 1 1/4 on the other side. Now I'm going to cut a nice miter out of here, kind of like you would if you're doing a curve when you're sewing, because this is going to kind of curve up a little bit, and when these go on the inside of the basket, I don't want them to overlap a whole lot. I can probably make that a bigger miter hole, a miter bite, I don't know what you want to call that. And then let's see how this goes to the other end. The tips of my snips are not quite as sharp as they used to be. All right, so let's go back to here. If we put this here, and this is going to curve around here, then this will curve right about here. And we'll make a nice big miter cut there. Let's see. That's about 1 1/4 inches too. All right, so if I did 4 3/4, 1 1/4 inches is where I'm going to snip up and make these miter bites. Your sides were 1 inch and 1 1/4 inches. Cool, that's what mine turned out to be. All right, let's go. Give or take a sliver. Mine are pretty close. All right. So we can probably try to curve that a little bit more, maybe. Break those fibers down. But I think I'll start with the bottom. Bonnie, does that sound fair, starting with the bottom piece? I guess I should do it of the same color. So let's do a little bit of glue here. Is that how you did it? Did you fix the bottom first? And this just has stamping from something else I was doing. So you put the sides on and then you went back and put, oh, you put a bottom on separate? See, I'm lazy. I'm just doing it all as one piece. So if you want to do it one piece, it's 4 3/4. And I've got mine at 2.5 inches wide. So 2.5 by 4 3/4. Do you want me to write that in there? All right, so 2.5 by 4 3/4. That way. And then I did a miter cut here at 1 1/4 inches. So down to here is 1 1/4, and I did my miter cut. And this is 1 1/4 from the other end. Now you could fold these up, I suppose. It wouldn't really matter, but if you want it more of a curvy basket, you can just break down those fibers. All right, so let's put a little bit of glue on here. Did you get those measurements? If anybody wants to take like a screenshot of this or write it down, you can always go back and watch the replay and pause it and get those. Hopefully you can see that okay. Let me zoom in just a little bit in case anybody wants to write that down. All right, can you see that? So 1 1/4 for the miters, 2.5 inches across, 4 3/4. So you like the die cut bow? I don't usually like the die cut bows, but sometimes they are cute with the set. And I think this one has a cute looking bow that could work. I was looking to see if I had any ribbon that was wide enough that I could have tried to die cut some ribbon to see what that would look like. I've not done that before because we don't usually have that many wide ribbons. All right, so then let's start putting some glue here. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the glue on these tabs, and then I'm going to let them sit for just a little bit so they can set a little bit so I don't have a gloppy gooey mess here. And we'll move on to something else and come back to this because I want to do, these bunnies are adorable, aren't they? I showed my granddaughter today when she came over, and she's just like, oh, those are so cute. You know, as only an 8-year-old can awe, you know. All right, so let's go ahead and put that there. So, wide women, Bonnie, or wide ribbon? I don't need to be any wider. Anyway, I think you meant wide, either woven or ribbon. I don't know. So I'm going to set that there. So we've got this cute balmy blue checkered ribbon that I think would work nice on something that's the right color. And we're depending on ribbon, yeah, not woman. That's what I thought you meant. It's all fun though. Oh, I suppose I should back this off a little bit. Sorry. So with these, I had another one cut out. What I don't want to lose this because we need that handle for in the middle. And I want to fussy cut some eggs. Oh, and I wanted to show you this paper, this metallic paper. You know, it's got the colored metallic highlights on it. This, let me grab this. This is the Easter Joy Specialty Designer Series paper. I happen to get a little, whoops. I happen to have a strip as a scrap, and I peeled this off, and look at this. This is actually foil. It's colored foil on here, and it's been glued onto the paper. Can you, I just wonder what kinds of things you could do with that. But I thought that was pretty cool. So just so you know, that's how they did the foiling things. However they did it, they probably, I don't know, They colored the foil somehow. I thought that was pretty slick though. So back to business. Back to business. Let's color this bunny a little bit. It was kind of weird. We're going to give him him or her, some pink on the inside of the ears. We're going to go with a nice pink nose and some crumb cake. I've got light crumb cake and dark crumb cake. You've never seen that, the foiled paper? Yeah, it's pretty wild. And I'm just going to give our bunny some highlights here. And we'll see how it looks. I don't know. I haven't colored this before. And I'm going to go back with the light as well. I kind of primed it with the light before I came across with the dark. And that's just going to give him or her, a little bit of dimension. Maybe too much dimension, I don't know. I can always get my color lifter too. That might be a little much, huh? Let's go get the color lifter and see if that softens it up a little bit. That might be a little much. Crumb cake is kind of the lightest of the grayish browns. Well, I think that looks pretty cute. All right, so there's one of them. Yeah, that would be why the paper kind of curls on the edges, because of that foil. So that way of foiling, it's to prevent that the other side of the page gets marked. Yeah, usually with those foil papers, they're not two-sided. So I thought it was odd because Stampin' Up! Really hasn't had two-sided metallic papers like that before. So, oh yeah, a little cotton ball on there would be cute, wouldn't it? It would be. So let's see what else. Oh, this is pretty well set now. So let's go ahead and attach these. And that way the edge is going to go right to the edge of the basket instead of like when I did the box. Some of the edges, if I would have opened up the box more, I could have done that. I could have angled the box, but I didn't because I wasn't thinking. So it took looking at Bonnie's to recognize that I needed to do something just a little bit different there. I was just being lazy. So I was glad Bonnie had sent me some pictures of hers. So thank you for that, Bonnie. I appreciate that. All right, so cute little basket. Now, if you're worried about the inside, you could probably cut some other paper to attach on the inside so it doesn't look so wonky inside, but I'm not going to worry about it. You could always put tissue paper or something. So where did my handle go? Here it is. So Bonnie somehow did it like this and twisted it. Oh, what if we did something like that? Would that be too weird? Put Easter grass in it. Yeah, definitely you could do that. Because if I do it like this, I think I kind of like that little S curve there. What do you think? What do you think? You twisted the bottom piece, yeah. I'm afraid I'll rip it because it's very small. So let's just put some glue on each of these ends. And I'm going to let that set and get tacky. All right, put your finger on the bottom and just twist it a little bit. Yeah, well now I have glue on, so I may just have to do it an alternate way. There's more baskets to be made, let me tell you. There will be more baskets because these are just too cute to not do more. All right, so I want to, we're going to set this off to the side. I want to show you, because I know I'm going to be making a lot more of these bunnies because I think that's adorable. And I have another bunny here. I have the other one. Oh, here it is. Let's color this one quick too. And then we'll get to the Stampin' Positioner. So let's do a cute little pink nose here. We'll do bright pink ears here. Bright pink. And then maybe soften it with the lighter pink. That might not soften. There, yeah, it is. It's as it dries, it'll soften it a little bit. And then let's do some more of this crumb cake. And we're gonna put that kind of on the insides. And I usually follow the lines that Stampin' Up! Has provided because usually that's where they're indicating there should be some emphasis. So let's just use, Bonnie, I just made the basket. I love your idea. It's much better than how I made hers regular box. Yeah, I agree. So if you're doing a regular box, don't attach everything as you would a normal box. Make sure that you let it fan out a little bit so it follows the line of the basket. I do like that a lot better, so I appreciate Bonnie sharing that idea. Okay, and then let's go back with the lighter shade. And then I'm going to use a color lifter again. And blend that in a little bit more. Well, I like the collaboration. That's what I wanted with this group. And quite honestly, to me, it just doesn't make sense to keep your ideas to yourself. You know, we're all here to enjoy this art of crafting. And it shouldn't have to be a big competition, right? Oh, I'm not going to share my idea. What do you think? Pretty cute? All right. Let's move these out of the way for right now. And let's do a little bit of, we'll let that set a little bit more. It's not quite ready. All right. Let's do a little bit with our Stampin' Positioner. Now, you saw that I had already stamped these and cut them out with the dies. I want to make plenty more of these, all right? And I have some flowers too. So let's line this back up here. So the Stampin' Positioner, I don't necessarily need the grid paper on here, but it helps my, it just helps my eye. I don't know why. It makes it easier to see where things are lined up. But there's a little marking on here for your paper to go in. And I don't know if you can see that very well or if I can highlight it enough. But right here, there is a line that shows you where the corner of your paper should go. I don't think it, oh yeah, you can kind of see it. Maybe now you can see it better. You can see that it's just like etched in there. It's embossed in there, all right? And these little nubs help guide your paper. Now it's a bit of a change of habit for me to work with my paper sideways, because if this is going to be how I want my card to be, then I need to just lay things out differently. Oh, and I need to back up again, sorry. So it's a little bit of an adjustment to have my paper diagonally like this, but it's not that hard, all right? Yeah, Bonnie, you do a lot of 3D stuff, so I think you just think outside the box with this, which is awesome, all right? All right, so this piece of paper is in here. I've got these few stamps on here. I've got the 2 bunnies, and I've got the flowers. Now, we're going to go ahead and put this on, line it up there. We've got our little bouncy nubbies, and I'm just going to push this down and pick up the stamps, all right? Now, they're still pretty sticky, so I'm just going to put my paper back in here so it's where I want it to be. And you could probably use like masking tape, the masking paper, or washi tape, or something to hold this down too, if the magnets aren't holding how you want them to, all right? So then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use, I use Secret C for these two. I kind of like how it outlines them without being abrasively black, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and stamp these, ink these up rather, with the Secret C. And with the Stampin' Positioner, you're going to want to put the ink to your stamps, not your stamps to your ink. So you're not going to want to go like this because it's going to be too awkward, all right? So then we're going to lay this down this way. You want the logo to be readable, all right? And if you have any ink on your plate, it doesn't matter, okay? Get mint or yellow tape, it won't stick to your paper. The way washi, yeah, washi does sometimes stick if it's too sticky. The masking paper and some of those things, I usually put on my clothes to make them a little less tacky, but then sometimes they don't hold quite as well either. So we've picked up the stamps. I see this magnet is in my way. Don't want that to happen. And then we're just going to press down and look at that. Now I can see I missed part of the ear here. So let's go ahead, ink this up and do it one more time. And make sure that's where it's supposed to be. Hopefully I didn't move it before I stamped. All right, there we go. Isn't that adorable? I love this. All right. So let's go ahead and take this out. Now, I am just going to use a pencil and I'm going to mark on here where my corner is, just for kicks. But do you see when you put, like this is a square piece, all right? So I've got it like 4.5 by 4.5. When you have your piece in the corner and you have it held secure against these nubbies, if it's a square piece, it's going to line up right to this grid mark, okay? You'll find other ways. So if you're using a rectangular piece, that line is not going to be straight like that. But I'm just putting that marking there for me because I'm a little OCD sometimes. And I can put this on now too. So I'm going to go ahead and squeeze that one on there. And I'm going to squeeze this one over here. I'm going to go this way. And I actually kind of like how that swoops around. I know Bonnie twisted hers a little bit on the ends so that they were going the same direction-ish, but I kind of like that actually. So you do you, whatever trips your trigger, all right? But how cute is that? Now, we can put, obviously you can put like Easter grass in here, other kinds of candies. I just had a bunch of little Tootsie Rolls, so I put those in there, all right? So if you make a regular box with the sides a little taller, you can seal your woven part on the inside if you don't want people to see that. You could make your box a little bit taller. I was kind of conservative with mine. If I make more this way, I will make the box taller, but I'm thinking I'll make more of them this way and then maybe cut designer series paper or something for the inside. All right. Now with our little bunnies, I'm going to take this off of here, and there are dies. And let me get the dies. We are going to move this out of the way. We're going to get our Bossy Bessie out here. And do a little die cutting. And I'm going to create a template. All right. Now, if any of you have had the Stamparatus, you probably know this trick. But it also works with the Stampin' Positioner. All right, so let's go ahead. There. Let's go ahead and get our bunnies on here. I have a piece of masking paper. So our little bunny is going to go here. This one will go here. And I want to try to get this pretty close to perfect. Not only because I want it to look really nice, but because this is going to be what all of our other bunnies get stamped from. So now I just need the flowers. I thought that, here it is. I'm looking right at it and I can't see it. All right, so here's these flowers. And we'll just, I didn't really think about doing the flowers first. I thought about doing the bunnies. So let me get my top piece. Slide this out a little bit. Scooch that up there. There, that looks pretty good. Let's put this puppy on here. And run this through. Oh, I didn't even look to see when it is. Thanks for that heads up. All right, so here's all of these pieces. Let me get rid of Bossy Bessie here. There's lots of other Easter candies that I'm sure that will fit in these. All right. Alright, so that's masking paper. That came off pretty well. And it looks like this bunny got a little shifted somehow. He's a shifty one. Alright. These I'm going to keep for this basket. But now this, I'm not going to throw this away. And let's bring our Stampin' Positioner back. And we're going to put this back in here. And I wanted to make sure which way I had the bunnies going. We're going to put this back in here. Right there. Our corner ends up right here. We're going to do some of this, and I think I'm going to use those couple pieces of masking paper, and we're going to hold down our template here. All right. That's weird. I have a light flashing on my light. I don't know why. That's weird. Huh. I never noticed that before. Weird. Anyway, all right, so let's go ahead and ink this up again. And then, I guess I didn't need to ink up the flowers because I don't have any of those cut out. But what I do have is a bunch of bunnies that I die cut ahead of time. So we're going to put one there. And I should have done a bunch of flowers too. I just didn't realize I was going to be doing flowers. And we're going to put that in there. And then we're going to put this over here. And we're going to push down. And we are going to mass produce our little bunnies without having to worry about lining up our die every time we're cutting a stamped bunny out, right? So those can just sit right in there. This is a good idea if you're doing a class with particularly newer stampers. Hey, Suzanne. Particularly with newer stampers, because they don't then have to worry about cutting out their pieces if you haven't gotten to that stage with them. All right. And this, unlike the Stamparatus, when you inked it and you flipped over the glass, it was touching your paper. This one, it's not touching the paper yet. All right. Until you press it down. So we're going to crank out a bunch of these because they're adorable. And then, like I said, you do not have to worry about lining up your die and running through your stamped images every single time, you know. Oops, where'd that one go? So how fun is that? So I could easily mass produce a bunch of these, but I think you get the idea. All right. So that's that. Let's go ahead and set this off to the side. And let's put together a few other things here. So we're going to use a couple baskets maybe. Now, do you like, let's say we're going to do, let me pull these out and let me get a base. Now this is a normal size base, 8.5 by 5.5. Raining. We haven't had any rain for a while. And then it's scored at 4 1/4, so it's a normal size. But what I'm gonna do here is put this up along the edge and here. So when I fold it over, I can line up those edges and use that score line to my advantage and make sure my corners line up. All right. So let's do one more of those. Oh, here's another piece of masking paper. All right, so this is already cut and scored because I do 2 at a time. But we'll just push those edges right up into the corner. And that way, if our score line is a little off, you just fixed it. We are supposed to have like 50s near 60 all weekend. I am liking that. Okay, so with this little bunny, we're going to, I think I need to fill this up with a little bit more candy because it looks empty. It just looks empty. This one filled really easy with just having the one handle on there, so that was Bonnie M's idea. Bonnie's Corner. That was her idea, which I think it was a great idea because it does make it easier to fill, and this handle is much more stable because it's doubled. Oh, one extra. All right. So I'm going to save these bunnies because we don't need those anymore. And we're going to use these couple of bunnies. Let's color our flowers. Let me go get a couple of more blends. We can do these flowers pink, maybe. I like pink. It could be they're supposed to be daisies, but there's only 5 petals on them, so they're turning pink. And then I just need to go get a green and the yellow. So I'm going to get Shy Shamrock and Lemon Lolly. All right, I'll be right back. Yeah, Tootsie Rolls are one of my favorites. All right. So do a little Lemon Lolly. And then we'll do a little Shy Shamrock. Now I'm just using the bullet tip because these don't need a whole lot of color. And I'm just putting a couple of dots to fill it in. And I'm not going to blend because there's really not a whole lot of room to do blending. All right, so that can go on the front with a basket. So now, which basket do you like better? Do you like the crumb cake or the pecan pie? Ah, Lori in Minnesota, welcome. I wasn't looking at who had made the comment. Now last night too, I had used the Forever Plaid embossing folder to do this basket. I don't like it so much. I mean, it gives it some more texture, but I think it's cute enough just flat that that basket with the embossing folder made it a little more difficult to work with. All right. Yeah, the one handle definitely made some good sense. Very good sense. Now, Bonnie, Lori, since you came in late, Bonnie put her handle on a little different because she twisted the ends so that the handle was more straight up, but I kind of like it swoopy, so I'm funny that way. All right, so let's do some more weaving. What should we do, the crumb cake or the pecan pie? And what we're gonna do is we're gonna case a card from Stampin' Up because it's cute and it lets us play with this set a little bit more. All right, so let's decide if we want to do lighter colors or brighter colors. So this is, I like the pecan pie. It just looks like a richer basket to me. This is the Easter Joy Specialty Designer Series paper. Okay, so we are going to case the catalog or the online stuff and the online samples stuff. So we've got a 5.5 by 4 1/4 front. It's going end to end. All right, that's how it was designed. And maybe I should just glue this because we're going to end up making 2. Bonnie, you'll show me later. Awesome. make baskets in all the rainbow colors. Yeah. So let's go ahead and put this on. Let's see how the glue works on here, because this is kind of shimmery, so I'm not sure how well the glue will hold or if it's going to shift a little bit. But we'll see. Because the other thing is, once it dries, is it going to like crack away and peel off? Because I would not want that to happen. So if that's going to happen, this will be an experiment, and I'll check in a couple of days. If it would peel off, then I would definitely want to use my seal. All right. So this is just going to go on the front. And it's really easy to get it all centered because it's going edge to edge. All right. You have a pink basket in storage. We have a few baskets in storage. Another vote for pumpkin pie, or pecan, the pecan pie. All right. And then, so that's our front. And I'm just trying to see if this is peeling off or if I just didn't put enough glue to the edge. I think I just didn't put quite enough glue to the edge. All right. And then we have a layer of basic white. And this is 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. And that's going to go here. So once you get through the putsy part of doing your basket, doing the card is pretty basic. And the lines on this paper are not straight. They're squiggly, so it's hard to tell if it's straight. All right. And then the online sample has the back side of this metallic, so that you've just got the muted, the bunny and the basket with some eggs and flowers on there. So that's really cute. And I'm just going to try to uncurl this a little bit. And I'll try to get the glue a little closer to the edges here, and we'll see how well it's staying on. And this is just going to have, oh, I didn't say what size this was. We've got 3 by 4 1/4. Alrighty. And then let's go ahead and put this one together as well. So this is the Shy Shamrock on that side. And all these pretty little flowers on that side. This I'm not worried about it adhering at all because it's a regular flat finish paper. We'll see if my granddaughter wants to do a video tomorrow. This side of the paper is shiny because it's a metallic paper. I'll show you in just a second. It's actually a new, yeah, flat on the other side, shiny on one side. It's a new process, I think, for Stampin' Up. They've not had two-sided metallic papers before, but I had a strip and I kind of tore it apart, and it's actually like a foil piece that's attached to the paper, which is why they can do the two-sided. So I thought that was pretty cool, because inquiring minds wanted to know. So again, this is the same size piece, 3 1/4 by 4 1/2 for the white layer. don't need that much glue, but I put a thin layer on, so it's not a big deal. That doesn't look quite straight to me. There, that's better. And then, I know, it's weird that you could peel off the design. And then this is the other side to that. I think that's really a fun color combination. But the difference with the foils in here is that the foils are colored and they're multicolored. So we've got some of this peach pie that's got color on here, and we've got some of the shy shamrock that's got color on here. And they've not done that before. When they've had metallic papers, it's usually like gold or whatever. So if you wanted the non-shiny side to show and we're worried about glue on the shiny side, could you pull it off? Oh yeah, it came off really easy. Yeah, it came off really easy. So if I was worried about the glue not affixing to this, I could peel it off. What I would probably do is have my layer oversized so that I could peel it off of an edge and then trim down to the size I need for the layer. Sorry, I had to concentrate there for a second to get my edges kind of lined up here. So let me get another little, well, I want to cut those out. So here's this piece. Oh, and I already peeled some of it off. So you can see when I just tear it, can you see how the foil is there? And then, well, this side, it didn't come off quite as easy. The other strip that I had, hello, Robert. The other strip I had seemed to come off really easy. So it might just be because this is near the end. So let's see this one, because I peeled most of this off by hand. So there, if I just peel that off, I just ripped it a little bit. So you could probably rip it as well. I would just start with your layer a little bigger so that where you rip it, you can trim it down to the size you need. But it seems like it's sticking like normal paper, so it should be fine. And I think because all of it's not metallic, you won't have that problem. But even with our other metallic papers, you can use glue on them. Even with acetate, you can use glue, although the acetate, it peels more. But some of these others, once that glue sets, it's pretty well done. Okay, so next thing, we've got this basket's ready to go, but the colors don't match. That's why I set that aside, never mind. So let's go ahead and, so Stampin' Up! Should have had the flat design under the shiny layer. Yeah, I don't know how the paper mills, because Stampin' Up! Doesn't do their own paper. It goes to a paper mill, and the paper mill might have said, we can't do that, or it's going to cost such and such an amount, and Stampin' Up! Might not want to have invested that much thinking it wouldn't sell. You know, it's hard to know. All right, so let's go ahead and put this in my little carrier sheet here. And we'll get this woven in here. And again, my fingers are dry and cracked at the edges, so sometimes it's a little challenging. So I just pull out that carrier sheet and my cardstock is right where I want it to be. And I do have one more piece of this cut, but I'm going to leave that there for that basket maybe, or for this one. Because I think I'm going to cut this one and try with some ribbon and see how that looks. All right, so let's do the balmy blue. So when we tried to weave it through with just the cardstock, it was quite challenging once you got to your third strip. So the window sheet made into a carrier piece worked really well. I would not want to mass produce these baskets using the weaving method without cutting the top. Mass producing them like this when you cut through the strips that would be easier. Okay, and then we need the lemon lolly. So this is the most tedious part of it, but quite honestly, I really think it's worth the effort because these are really adorable. And I could probably try to push these down a little further to ease up on the tension a little bit. Because that's what does it. You know, when the higher up here you weave, the more tension there is, and it's not as easy to open up those slats. But that carrier sheet, the window sheet, really makes it much easier. All right. So let's just scooch these back up a little bit. Sheila Morton, welcome from New Zealand. Thanks for stopping by. And it's like what? 1:17. Is it like 6 or 7 o'clock by you? PM? I am in the United States and I'm in a central time zone. So for me, it's about 1:15 in the morning. But I think you're about 19 hours ahead of us. So it might be around 8 o'clock by you, huh? 8:15 maybe? All right, so these I'm just gonna trim off. And then what we decided yesterday is that if you're gonna make this as a card that's going in an envelope, you probably, okay, 8:15 Sunday evening. So I finally got it right. So you are 19 hours ahead of us because we're at 1 a.m. So if I add 19, that's 20. And in military time, 2015, actually, yeah, 2015 would be 8:15. So I used to do a lot of military time with my fire and EMS experience. We did military time. All right. So I'm going to put just a dollop of glue on these. So Sheila, what kind of crafting do you do? Cards, 3Ds, junk journaling. We have a variety of folks here. Whoops. That got a little heavy. Vicki, you drove from Georgetown to Maryland. While parts are unloaded. What kind of parts are you transporting there? Hopefully not like replacement hips and stuff. How is your son doing, by the way? All right, I'm gonna let that settle a little bit and let that glue get less liquidy We'll let it get a little tacky. And I want to show you, let's take this little guy and we are going to fussy cut his arms. So I probably didn't need to cut his whole body or color his whole body. Okay, so his second, that's just crazy that he needs more surgery. Well, it's so nice that you're able to help him out. All right, so we've got our little arms cut out here. And what we're going to end up doing is having our little bunny hang over the edge. Do I need to cut that a little bit more? I do. We're going to have our little bunny hang over the edge of our basket. All right, except for this one that got really wet, they're pretty tacky. So those can go down, that one can go down. I'm going to wait on this one because that's still going to ooze a little bit of glue. But isn't he cute? Sheila, you're a hospital volunteer and a therapeutic choir volunteer. Ooh, that sounds interesting. And you share your craft with all of your peeps. That is awesome. Yeah, Vicky, I remembered your son was in his 40s, which is just crazy that he needs hip replacement. Usually you don't expect that on young folks like that. All right, so that's going to go there, and our little guy is going to go here. Let me just pull up the sample again if I can find it. There we go. And then we're going to use this ribbon. This is a new ribbon, this balmy blue checkered stuff. And we're going to make a cute little bow. I'm going to get my bow maker though. Thanks for hanging out with us, Rosa. So let's make a cute little bow. And we'll see you next time. Sleep well. All right, we'll put a little bow on here. All right, oh, that still has a little oozy glue. I got a little heavy-handed with the glue on that one. It'll be fine. All right, so isn't this adorable? And then we need to decide a sentiment. I'm losing all my little strips over here. I bumped it. They're going wild. Ugh. Oops, I just lost the chat. All right, so hang on here a second. So Sheila, you do a therapeutic choir, and Lori, you do too? I don't think you told us about that before. That's awesome. All right, let's put those out of the way so I don't bump them anymore. So that's really cute. I like that. Now let's use our other little bunny here. That one I'm not going to have the arms hanging off to the side. I could have them hanging over the basket. I'll have to get my craft knife. Let's do that. That'll look nicer, I think, than just having them tucked underneath. I'll take the top off our Take Your Pick tool. And we'll add our craft knife attachment. I love my Take Your Pick tool. And then let's just try not to slice my hand. Let's see if I got that. Probably not quite all the way through. Is anybody nervous that I'm going to cut myself? Right. Let's try to finish it up from the back because I can see that it's coming through. I just want to be careful. I don't want to overcut. No, for goodness sakes. I'm trying to be so careful. There, I think we've got it now. There we go. So Sheila, your choir meets once a week at the community center. That's amazing. Stroke, MS, Parkinson's, brain injuries. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. So isn't that cute? I think that's so adorable. Let's put the cover back on this. I think that's awesome that you guys do that kind of volunteer work. All right, let's put a little glue dot on here. And when I do glue dots on my bows, I put one on each side of the knot. And if I have to roll it a little like a burrito so that it doesn't hang out over the edge, I can do that. But at least that keeps it from pivoting on the knot. So we're going to put that right about, yeah, right about there, I guess. And then let's go ahead and put some glue on these flowers. Put that behind there. And I'm going to put a couple of dimensionals on the backs of the flowers so that they'll stand up a little bit. And then let's do our little bunny body here. We'll put, where did my glue go? I put it away. We'll put a little glue on the body. See, this little cottontail's not going to show, so somebody had the fun idea of putting a piece of cotton. Was that you, Allie? Putting a little cotton ball on his backside. That's a big choir, 42 people. And I'm sorry if it seems that I'm slow to respond to comments, but for one thing, there's a lag on my iPad. And then sometimes I'm not looking closely enough. Yeah, I used to sing in our church choir, and I was in a double trio, but I haven't done that for many years. Now I just kind of sing in the car when I'm alone. All right. Oh, I guess I need glue at the bottom of the... Do I want glue or do I want... Yeah, I want a little bit of glue here. We're going to put some glue down here. And then I'm going to put a couple of dimensionals, I think. There. All right, you're crafting. Who's crafting? Well, that's like, Sheila, people with stutters. You know, they have the stutter when they try to talk, but let them sing and they don't stutter. All right, so then I forgot I need to put a little bit of glue behind the handle because I don't have glue dots small enough and I don't feel like cutting them. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue at the top. And then I have a little... We could put that on our basket, probably here. I use the Hobby Haven die. There's a big rectangular label die. I wanted the top on there and I just cut it down to fit that. Do you think that looks all right? So we will do a similar thing with this basket. Now there's no purple, there's no gorgeous grape in here. Pecan pie or crumb cake? I'm still thinking the pecan pie. Anybody else? Pecan pie? And I think I'm going to weave with ribbon. So let's put this up here. We're going to snip the edges. The pecan pie is more striking, I agree. All right, so let's do some ribbon here instead of paper. And the ribbon is more flexible, so that makes it a little easier, I think. And then for this, I'm going to wrap the ribbon around the back. You think that's all right with just all one color of the ribbon? I think that shimmery ribbon is so pretty. you think that'll work? Or do I need different colors? Oh yeah, I generally don't do glitter things. Show Sheila the plastic thingy to weave the paper strips. Yeah, I can do that, absolutely. All right, so for this, I used a window sheet. This is about 5 inches that I cut in half. We cut a little, it's hard to see. It's hard to see. We cut a little corner off of here. Zippity, welcome. And then what we can do is take a strip of our cardstock or even designer series paper that would have less substantial, it's not as thick designer series paper. All right, so Vicky, safe travels to you. On to Virginia. Safe travels. All right. So what we did with this then is when we cut out with the dies our basket, we can just weave this in and out with the window sheet that's folded in half. And you can see that this handle broke from doing the embossing folder. So then we can just take the carrier sheet out and our little cardstock is right in there and we can trim. I'm just going to take that off for right now. All right, so let's get another piece and put it back in our carrier sheet. And then we can weave going the other way. And it just made it much less of a struggle for me to get that paper pushed in because it just looks so much cuter with the strips woven in there. And then let's go ahead and take a blue. So the closer you get to the top, the more difficult it is to get them woven because the paper causes more tension, so you don't have as much flexibility. Yeah, snipping the basket, Sheila, at the top, that was Allie's idea last night. It made it a whole lot easier to get it woven in there. But if you're not going to be using the scallop piece on there, like here, I didn't use the scallop piece, you wouldn't want to snip them. But if you are using the scallop piece, then it holds them all in place and works really well. All right, so there's the carrier sheet. Now let me try that one last piece because the last one is always the most challenging. So my little carrier piece is only 1/4 inch wide. All right. And I hope that I don't rip these because I ran this through the Forever Plaid embossing folder and it does kind of break down the paper, the cardstock a little bit. So this, the very last one is the one that gets a little dicey if you want to put 4. Now you could, it's certainly cute enough with just 3. But like this one, we used 4. And I like it better with the 4 just because I think it looks nicer. This is with 3 and it's cute enough. So just, you know, whatever your personal preference is, you know, you do you. I said that earlier tonight, so you do you. So this last row is where it gets a little tedious, trying to get it through there. And if you don't mind bending your basket a little bit, that makes it a little bit easier actually. And I had said last night if I had one extra set of hands that would listen to what I tell them to do, it would be just fine. Can you weave the paper, then run it through the embossing folder? I don't see why not. We can give it a try. I'm sure it would work. That would imprint the design on even your little strips then. All right, so there's that. Oops. I didn't quite have that pulled out far enough. There we go. All right. So when you have your little carrier sheet, hang on to it. Don't lose it. So let's just see. If I can line this up. I don't know if I'll be able to line it up to match where it was. Probably not. Nah, we'd have to do a fresh one. But we could do this one with the ribbon in it. I forgot I should have turned my other light on. All right, so we could try to do it with this ribbon in here. And the ribbon, we're only going to need 3. And the ribbon is much more flexible, so it makes it easier to whip it around the slats. That'll be cute. Push these down because we're going to put the scallop piece on here and that's going to cover up part of the ribbon. So you use the this is the designer series paper that looks like the basket weave. Can you weave the paper? Yeah, I use the DSP that look like the basket weave. That's this one. Unless you've got a different one. If you're thinking like the textured notes or whatever. But this, let me find it. This one is from Easter Joy, if that's the one you used. So we did that for this one, for this little basket. And then Bonnie, who may or may not still be here, she might have had to go to bed. Bonnie's Corner, she cut her handles off, glued them together, and then moved it to the center of the basket for hers, which I thought was a good idea too if you're doing the 3D items. All right, so let's go ahead and what do I do with the embossing folder? Here it is. And let's go ahead and put this in here and get some of these things out of the way, and I'll bring up Bossy Bessie. Don't lose my carrier sheets there. All right, Sheila, if you haven't noticed, I'm kind of a putsy, messy stamper. That's just kind of how I roll. This is my relaxation time, so I typically do not want to rush through my cards or projects because, whoops, that's the wrong set of stuff. Because this is my quiet time. This is my relaxation time. So this is a 3D embossing folder, so you just need your base plate and plate number 4. Suzanne, get some sleep, and we will catch you next time. Happy Valentine's Day, yes. All right. Let's get this out of the way. Oh, that is quite cute. That's quite cute that way. So now I need to find my scallop piece. We'll glue the scallop piece on here. Now the scallop piece seemed like the other times it went to the edge of the basket. This time it didn't. I wonder if these slats, well, they did. They shifted apart a little bit because of the ribbon. That's all right. All right, and then we'll get a piece of grass. And we'll glue that to the inside. Oh, the woven textures. Okay. That was very pretty paper. I think I still have some left. I'm not sure if it's active or not, if it's still available. I don't remember. All right, there's that. Let me put this embossing folder away, so I can get rid of some of the debris. All right, let's get this craft knife put away as well. I guess I should leave the safety cover on too, huh? I try to get some of that stuff put away so that I can find it next time I need it. All right, so there's those two. Where did our little bunny here go? That little bunny's just going to have his hand coming out of the grass, I guess. Let's trim this one just a little bit. So that little hand can peek out around the grass. So if we have this one here, there. And then we don't have that white edge on there. That'll be cute. Where did my other card base go? Here we go. So, oops. That'll go on there. Let's get these ribbons put in here. I'm going to use tear and tape on those just because it's going to be easier than anything else right now to get these in under control. concentration. I just ran out of things to say. There we go. All right. There. All right, and these extra little edges we can cut off. And let's get our bunny put in there. And I was going to fussy cut some eggs. So let's just take a look. So here's our other bunny that's got the flowers. Let's do some eggs. Now there is a die for the egg, but it's bigger than the egg on the paper because it's designed for the coordinating stamp. So that's going to go there. I need to find my mini dimension. Here they are. The bunny needs an Easter bonnet. That's an idea. Or a teensy flower. Well, we can, there's flowers in here. We can make that happen. And then we can also make a little bow. Maybe that would work. Oops. This is just this ribbon cut in half lengthwise. I think maybe right on top of the head or at the neck. Oh, the neck might be cute. What do you think? Okay, there's one egg. What did I do with... I thought I had another egg cut out. I did. What did I do? There it is. So a neck bow. Seems to be the consensus over a head bow. I don't know, both would probably be cute. You decide. While I fussy cut eggs. I think I'm going to leave this little brown egg behind. It doesn't look very Easter-esque to me. That's probably enough. Well, that's only 4. Let's do this lemon lolly one. Which actually could be a little beehive. Alrighty. Whoops, I was gonna do that flower. Usually I do a little outline on my fussy cuts, but I think this flower needs to be edged. Cut close to the edge. So we could do that. I think I just like the bow better than the flower. And I think the bow at the neck is probably cuter. All right, let's put a couple more dimensionals on these eggs. This one we'll put 2 on because it's bigger. Bow on the handle. That would be cute. Definitely cute. Let's go ahead and get this glued on here. In fact, that bunny is too cute. All right, let's put a couple of dimensionals on the head. And we can put the bow on wherever we think it'll work. I'm gonna get some bigger dimensionals. Let's cut these down here. Yeah, I think the bow on the handle was cute. It's very narrow, so I'm just going to put it on the back of the knot. That is very cute. Good idea. Where is the cap to that? And then let's put some of these eggs down. And I'm just trying to keep my mess somewhat contained. It's a struggle. And I keep putting away my Take Your Pick tool when I need it for these dimensionals. Very cute. And I want the bunny ear to be on top of the egg. There we go. Cute. All right, so then I have to do sentiments for both of these. Now on this one, I had the For You. I don't know where that went. They do look better in real life. I should probably zoom this in so you can see a little bit better. What do you think? Whoops. Sorry for the fast action there. So this one can be for my granddaughter. That one can be for my bonus grandson. 2 Easter cards done. Just like that. Awesome. And then they can each have a little basket. I'll probably make different baskets to match. But those are cute. So I think I'll do maybe Easter's on its way. I probably should have put the flowers on this one and the eggs on this one. I think I'll cut out some eggs and put some eggs in that one too. Now, where did my stamps? Here they are. Let's say Easter's on its way. And Secret Sea. And let me find something to stamp on. I should have my little piercing mat here, but it's all good. There. Snips. So I have a hard time talking and fussy cussing at the same time. I'm not big on fussy cutting. But it's got to be done, right? Sometimes it's just got to be done. If Juju was still awake, she would be egging me on. Get it? To fussy cuss. She thinks it's funny to watch me fussy cut. Because I love it so much. Who's a fussy cutting fan? I think we're kind of mixed here. Sheila, do you like to fussy cut? Me, not so much. Yeah, left-handed, it's a struggle. Are you left-handed, Sheila? I was never able to learn how to use left-handed scissors. They just don't fit my hand right because I have used right-handed scissors my whole life. And when they started making left-handed scissors, I could not get the pressure right. So let's do a couple of eggs for this one. Since it's going to be for a boy, we'll do the non-pink eggs because I think he would like those better. See, I keep putting my tools away and then I need them again. And we'll do green and orange, I think, will work for him. We just won't do the pink. I wasn't thinking ahead with those flowers. It just occurred to me at the end. But it'll be fine. All right. You get what you get and you don't have a fit. He's not going to be that interested in the card anyway. You like to fussy cut. I think I did know that about you, Allie. Sheila, ambidextrous. My son is pretty much ambidextrous. There. Does that look silly? Should I put another egg in the front of that maybe? Because then I think I would need 2 more eggs because I have 3 there right now and I would need 5. I could find some embellishments to put on this too, but yeah, another one in front there. I agree. Now we'll put that straight there. I can go over there. I think that'll work. Thank you, Robert. All right, let's find another full-size egg. I'll have to do 2 more just because, like I said, I'm gonna need 5. Here, we'll do these 2. Do another orange and we'll do a blue. All right, almost done. This went longer than I expected, but we did lots. Oh, wheels on the basket. Well, he's 10. If he gets money in his card, he'll be happier than if he had wheels on the basket. Just saying. All right. I think that'll do. There we go. So Allie, you're ambidextrous as well. Oh, that's cool that when you did preschool, that helped the students. Holy cow, you and Allie, Sheila and Allie, you have a lot in common. Very much in common. There. Is that all right like that, you think? Or should I just load it up and put a bunch of eggs in the front? You think that's enough? I think that's enough for now. If I end up doing more, I'll do that off camera later. Because I think it's time to say goodnight. We've been at this for over 2 hours already tonight. So thank you all for joining me. I appreciate it. It was fun sharing this bundle with you. This is the Easter basket bundle. And that's that. I'll finish cleaning up on the flip side. Time to get some sleep, hey? Thank you all for joining me very much. I appreciate the company and the suggestions. I think it always works better when we have collaboration. You have a good night as well. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Well, pop back anytime, Sheila. We're glad you stopped in. I try to go live every night. It's usually around midnight. It used to be around 11 Central Time in the US, but it's usually around midnight. So it's usually going to be somewhere probably around 8 o'clock for you. No, 7 o'clock for you. Midnight would be 7 o'clock for you, I think. So thanks for popping in. I appreciate the company. I appreciate the suggestions. Hope you like the cards and the baskets. These baskets might need some little bunny decorations on them too, but I'll take care of that another time. So until next time, everybody, happy crafting.